So nice to see so many folks on this call today. Thank you for spending your lunch hour with us. Some familiar faces and some new ones. So we're happy to have all of you. The community collaborative projects are part of United Way Simcoe Muskoka's commitment to mobilize collective action in the communities throughout initiatives that address poverty and inclusion. We're very excited to share this opportunity, and we will be offering this presentation at least one more time, so on June 27th. Feel free to invite other organizations that you know and spread the word. Feel free to attend yourself if you'd like a little bit more information sharing. And so on behalf of Sharon and Kelsey and I, we want to welcome you to our grant making information session. We are going to start today with the land acknowledgement. Historically, when communities come together to a particular area, the visitors would acknowledge the inhabitants and keepers of the land, and it was to show respect. United Way Simcoe Muskoka is thankful to be situated on Indigenous land. This land has been in the care of generations of Indigenous peoples who are the original stewards and caretakers. Simcoe County is situated on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe. The Anishinaabe include the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. The district municipality of Muskoka is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Chippewa, and Wata Mohawk. As settlers, the recognition, contributions, and historic importance of Indigenous peoples must be clearly and overtly connected to our collective commitment to make the promise and challenge of truth and reconciliation real in our communities. United Way Simcoe Muskoka, in partnership with its Community Investment Council, invites organizations serving Simcoe County, the town of Blue Mountains, and the District of Muskoka to apply for the community collaborative funding for up to 3 years. So I just want to have Sharon deliver for us the opening remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am really excited to be here and to join you all for this afternoon's information session. Thank you very much for your interest in becoming a partner with United Way Simcoe Muskoka. My name is Sharon McCormick. My pronouns are she, her. I have the greatest privilege in my role as Chief Administrative Officer to oversee our community work across Simcoe County, District of Muskoka, and town of the Blue Mountains. Having worked in the nonprofit sector for over 15 years and also worked on the other side, working with government and my own social enterprises, it truly is a role that I cherish and sure makes me excited to get out of bed every morning to come to work and see how we can work together in our communities to help those experiencing poverty or on the precipice of poverty and foster greater social inclusion. Last year, our United Way invested over $13 million in our communities here in Simcoe Muskoka and across communities or across Ontario and other communities related to government programs. That's a huge amount of funding that I think drives and excites all of the staff here at the United Way to do more and to help more and recognize that programs like these multi-year collaboratives are a way for us to join forces to have a greater impact where the greatest needs exist in our communities. We have worked tirelessly over the last number of years to be able to bring funds either through private partnerships or through public partnerships, such as federal government funds, here to our community and to help serve other communities such as rural and remote through the regional program. As well as have our own fantastic fundraising team here, which is where this community investment comes from for these multi-year collaborative projects. This is the single greatest investment that United Way Simcoe Muskoka makes in our own communities. And that is thanks to our philanthropy team who drives this work, and to the community impact staff, including Rebecca and Kelsey on this call, to really help make a difference in our community and work alongside each of you in order to do that work. But community investment for us is not just about being a funder. And I hope what you hear in this information session today comes across loud and clear, that we see our role as being much greater than just being a funder. Vast changes and improvements have been made to this multi-year collaborative program, thanks to the efforts of Rebecca and Kelsey, in order to help our community services sector build more capacity, strive for greater collaboration in our work, and to streamline processes, and to help make the program far more accessible to organizations and themselves, or to organizations that are serving already disadvantaged people. Last year, we undertook pretty extensive consultation to develop our 3-year community investment plan. And we wanted to hear what was working, what's not working, are we headed in the right direction? And so we did a lot of listening. We listened to stakeholders, from donors, from funded partners, to other agencies that we don't currently fund, to people with lived and living experience, to people in the general public, and as well as our own staff, to hear what they had to say in terms of how we could have an even greater impact. And Kelsey and Rebecca have adapted much of that feedback into what they'll be describing in the program today. But I want to give you a thumbnail sketch around what are those pillars for community investment, and how that lays the foundation for this program that you're about to hear more about. The first pillar is be leaderful and bring leadership. And what that means to us is that we want to drive systemic, long-lasting change in poverty and social inclusion by mobilizing collective action, bringing partners to the table, convening tables where there are gaps to be filled. But it also relates to mentorship and to advocacy. And we want to use our voice more in the community, and be able to speak louder on behalf of our sector and for those people that are most vulnerable in our communities. We also recognize that without a sustainable community investment program, we can't achieve systemic change to the lives of those that need us most. And so sustainability is our second pillar. We recognize as well that sustainability requires innovation. It requires agility to respond to the changing needs within our community. And we have been in the communities for over 60 years, and the United Way certainly looks forward to a very long community in time in our community. The third pillar is about unleashing the power of the collective impact. We intentionally want to bring together people and organizations to drive change around very complex social issues like poverty. And we want to focus on building capacity and driving that change through collection and accumulation of data. And you'll see that today in terms of how we look at the social data and the populations within our communities to see who has the greatest need and where the greatest change is required. And we've been able to use that information now to make some data-driven decisions around the priorities for this program, and priorities in terms of changing elements of the program so that they address those needs. The fourth pillar is strategic partnerships and collaborations. And of course, that's a hallmark of this particular program. I'm sure all of us would agree that people and organizations are better together. And this pillar speaks highly to why collaboration is the underpinning of this investment program. This is strongly voiced in our consultations that we undertook, that this is the right focus to take, and it's the right direction to be heading. But we have to bring partners along with us. And I'm excited about this program in that it helps all of us really understand what collaboration is and how the United Way can help to support that and be a player in that along with your own organizations that you're representing. This is the second tranche of multi-year collaborative projects that the United Way has undertaken. So it's relatively new for us. We did take pause to speak to and get counsel from our current project partners that are working in their last year of the collaborative projects at this time. And to seek their advice and how we can make some refinements, how we can build on the strengths and the learnings that we have from this program. Having said that, as I've also inferred, we've made changes to the program that are new for us. We've used our own relationships and collaboration with other funders, with the United Way network, to borrow, refine, and dust off changes that have been happening elsewhere that help us really devise this grant making opportunity far greater from an equity lens. And I hope that that is what comes across to you today. It has been a lot of work, and some of it, to be quite frank, is new. Some of it is our own ideas that we want to test out, that we firmly believe in based on the consultations and the research that we've done, and we think is the right thing and the right way to go. So we look forward to you joining us on that, and know that we come with a very open mind and full intentions of being flexible and being agile to work with our partners through these multi-year collaboration projects. What you'll hear from Kelsey and Rebecca will show you the actions that the program has taken across each of those community investment pillars and the priorities that were established based on the data. You'll hear the need for leadership in building capacity and being data informed to ensure our social impact is made collectively to address the greatest needs. And they will be sharing with you a whole host of capacity building sessions that will help for those that need it in terms of finding tools and resources that will help you be good partners alongside us. And we recognize that these are trying times coming out of the pandemic for everyone. I think everyone in the sector has experienced things like staff turnover and changes and organizational restructures and opening and closing and so forth. So we really do feel like the capacity building is a way that we can step up and show some leadership, but also show an understanding of being a good partner and offering these resources and tools and supports. As I mentioned, this is the single greatest community investment that United Way Simcoe Muskoka makes with our own monies that have been raised. I want to heartfelt thank you for joining us here this afternoon, and look forward to working with all of you in the future. So Rebecca and Kelsey, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Just quickly, we'll review the agenda for today. We're going to talk about some timelines. We're going to talk about funding priorities and eligibility. We're going to share with you some of the required documentation for an application. We're going to talk about reporting. We're going to offer you some tips, and we're going to go through the process of how to apply. So a couple of little housekeeping items. We're asking folks to keep their microphones turned off, and we will have a question and answer session at the end, but you are welcome to submit any questions you have in the chat. Sometimes, I don't know about you, but I sort of like to put it in when I think of it. So if you feel like that works for you, feel free.
Okay, so let's join the ride together of these community collaborative projects 2024 to 2027. Here is a highlight of the timeline that we will be working with you on, and that is starting now. From June until August, we are going to be having support calls as well as office hours. And what those office hours are going to be is it's going to be the opportunity to pop into our office virtually like we're doing now and join us for an hour the second Tuesday of the month, which is going to be July 11th and August 8th from 12 o'clock in the afternoon until 1 o'clock. You can join a Teams link, which we will email out. and you'll be able to pop in. So if you have a question, if you have any clarities that you want cleared up, you're going to pop into that meeting as if you could pop into our office in person, see myself and Rebecca almost in person, and chat with us a little bit about your question. You're going to have that opportunity to have those support calls and office calls, like I said, from June all the way until August. And so the portal opens June 26th. So that is any day, and the application is going to be due, so the portal will close August 31st, 2023. We are going to be having an allocations meeting November 2023, and the funding notifications will be going out December 2023 for the project to start February 1st, 2024, until the project ends January 31st, 2027. As we mentioned, we have a couple different capacity building sessions that are absolutely free. They are virtual and you are welcome to join them. So the timeline on that is looking like the information sessions that we are having. So we had one last week, we have ours today, and we have another one next week. We also have the opportunity to offer a grant writing 101 session. We're going to offer that twice. And we have the opportunity to have people with lived and living experience. You're going to learn about why that is so incorporate into your project, social media strategies, as well as storytelling. And what I will say is these capacity building sessions are open to anybody to come and learn. You don't need to just be applying to the community collaborative projects. So we may have a few folks attending these sessions that are outside of Simcoe County or the District of Muskoka to learn more, but not necessarily apply to the community collaboratives. However, for the folks applying for the community collaboratives, this is a really important opportunity because it's free and you get to learn about how these incorporate into the application and why they're so important, and it's free. So
we are welcoming applications that take diverse approaches to support the community through a lens of poverty and inclusion. So you can see from the list here our funding priorities. We want to be sure we highlight these to you as you're thinking about who potential partners may be, who folks are, the type of project, the nature of the project, or what it might address as you're going forward. So the United Way Simcoe Muskoka priorities are food security, mental health, housing, and income stability. We are looking to work with organizations that we haven't funded before. So that may not be you specifically, and we are welcoming you to seek out those partners who might be someone we haven't met. Demonstrate how the project will affect systemic change through advocacy and education. So as much as we like to be frontline, we like to support frontline providers, we think it's really important that our role as we sit with you to the table is that advocacy and education piece, which actually sort of speaks as well to the data side, what we do with the data as we learn it and as we share it and collect it with you. Inclusion of individuals with lived and living experience, agencies serving equity deserving individuals. Our funding priority includes Indigenous organizations, First Nations, Inuit, and Métis-led organizations. We also are looking to work with rural communities in Simcoe County, the town of Blue Mountains, and the District of Muskoka. You can actually, when you get this guide, you'll be able to click on rural communities. You'll notice that quite a large portion of our region is actually classified as rural. But that is absolutely a priority for us. It's from what we've heard from our communities that we've worked with until now. And demonstrate an understanding of gender-based analysis plus. There is a clickable link, but I would advise you to maybe note that and have a look at what that is. There is a 2-hour training, and I think you will notice, or you will find that it will greatly aid you in filling out an application for this fund. I also want to share with you information around eligible organizations. These are collaborative projects, and so we would be looking for a minimum of 3 multi-sectoral partners. And the lead project must be a registered charity. That's how the funding will flow through. But that could also include not-for-profit, for-profit, municipalities, Indigenous organizations, even education and public health. So as a charitable organization registered with the CRA, we can only make grants through registered charities or other qualified donees. And so that's why the lead must fall into that. I think that's it for me.
As for the eligible organizations, agencies, organizations need to be located in Simcoe County, the town of Blue Mountains, or the district of Muskoka, as well as address areas that are in Simcoe County, town of Blue Mountains, and the district of Muskoka. And you'll see we've listed them out here. As Rebecca had said, there is a specific priority on areas that are determined as rural. As she said, most of our Simcoe County, town of Blue Mountains, and district of Muskoka is rural. There are a few exceptions, as well as an eligible organization. If you have previously been funded through the community collaborative projects, so those are coming to an end shortly, you are still eligible to apply for this new round of funding. However, you must demonstrate how the project does relate to our current United Way Simcoe Muskoka priorities, as Rebecca has just mentioned. Eligible activities, so what it is you can do with the funds. Our funding is going to be flexible. We want it to meet the current needs of the communities, the organizations. What I will note, however, is that funding cannot be used for debt retirement or mortgage payments. So you can use the funding for things like personnel wages, related employment costs, project expenses, administration, up to 15% of your overall budget, travel expenses, training, community events, and capital. Asterisks, right down to the capital fine print, that capital requests such as associated with equipment, technology, or renovations will be considered. That is very key. If they are necessary in order to provide the initiative that supports the community with the inclusion of food security, mental health, housing, and income stability, with a lens of poverty, again, it will be considered for capital. What I will highlight as well, that in anticipation that funding requests are greater than we have funding for in our budget, we are asking that applicants take the time to reflect on taking what only is needed and ensuring the resources are left for others. So we only have a certain amount of money and we will only be able to allot a certain amount of that. So be really mindful with the requests that you're asking and the activities you're requesting those funds for. The eligible funding requests. Funding has been approved up to $700,000 per year to be shared amongst approved projects. It is up to applicants to demonstrate the best use of these funds based on the intended outcomes. And so that does mean funding amounts may vary for each project. Again, capital projects will be considered. It is up to applicants, again, to keep in mind how much funds they want on their intended outcomes and to use the guidelines that we have to keep in mind best practices. What do you want and how do you want to use it? Again, funding cannot be used for debt retirement, mortgage payments. In the application itself, there will be a budget template where you'll be able to provide detailed budget notes, other sources of funding to keep in mind the funding you're requesting and moving forward for your projects.
So when you submit, I'm going to back up just a little bit and let you know that you will be so well prepared for this, but because we'll be offering the coaching, the support calls. But know that when you submit, you will need to include some required documents, and they would be memorandums of understanding, so MOUs for all partners listed in the application, proof of insurance, and there's a few different types that will go along with that, It would be helpful to have, or we would like your most recent financial audit statement, your most recent annual report, donor report, AGM report. Sometimes this even looks like a quarterly newsletter that you put out. We would like to please see your diversity, equity, and inclusion policy. And then there is a signed legal document that goes along with it as well as part of the submission.
So with that capital, if that is something you're requesting, again, there's going to be required documents. Remember, capital will be considered. If I could bold and underline and highlight that for you. If you are submitting capital, some of the required documents are quotes, and a minimum of 3 if the purchase is over $5,000. And if this capital is including renovations, then we're going to want to see some property manager contact details, approved zoning, building permits, site alteration / tree clearing permits if there's any landscaping happening, as well as contracts. So again, just to define capital requests can be associated with equipment, technology, or renovations, so anything that is over $5,000.
So to prioritize learning and dialogue, all the projects will be required to provide the following reports through Salesforce. And there may be some additional reporting requirements specifically around approved capital projects. But our reporting expectations would be a final report consisting of both data and storytelling. We are going to be offering the capacity building sessions to support you with those things. We would like to see you every 6 months. I mean, we're always going to be here for you, but every 6 months for check-ins. They may be in person or hybrid. They may be online if that's what works for folks' schedules. We will be doing a one site visit annually, so coming to spend some time with you and check in on your progress. We are going to be offer often opportunities to convene, participate in learning days, and network with other organizations and communities. We call that the community of practice. So we are looking to form that project-led community of practice where folks can be sharing what's happening for them, their challenges. It's a wonderful forum to bring our community together. And be prepared to engage in the process in 3 years to determine sustainability and plan for the future. So as we move along in the steps for your project, year 1 is often sort of the planning and development stage. Year 2 is often when you actually get to see what you're working on come to life. And year 3 is going to be really talking about how this project is going to continue on.
So some application tips when it comes to completing your application. First and foremost, complete the eligibility quiz on the United Way Simcoe Muskoka website. It is 3 questions. It's quick, sweet, and short, and you'll be able to determine are the community collaboratives the right step for you. When you are completing the application, we're going to say the average length of time to complete the application is about 2 hours. What we will say is you are going to have access to a portal on Salesforce, which means you can go in, answer a question, walk away. Come back to it the next day, answer another one, walk away. You do not have to complete the application all in one sitting, but if you choose to, we're going to say it's about 2 hours of your time. Please complete the Gender-Based Analysis Plus training, as Rebecca had mentioned. It is free, it is online. We can send you a link to that once you get this document, and it will really support you with the application as there is a question on there around Gender-Based Analysis Plus. Applications are considered complete when all questions are answered and all supporting documents are submitted. That falls right in line with the next one. An incomplete application will not be reviewed. And so, as Rebecca had said, we are with you along for this ride. We will be reminding you about documents. You should never feel surprised that you need a required document. You will have access to this list at all times. And again, if questions are not answered and there are no supporting documents, they will be considered incomplete and they will not be reviewed. You will have the opportunity to complete a budget, and detailed budget notes are really important because we are not in your mind, we're not mind readers, but help us understand why you're requesting what you're requesting and why you want to use it, how you want to use it. When it comes to United Way Simcoe Muskoka and that opportunity for support calls, we are here with you to connect with you from June to August if you have any questions. What the support call is, however, is the opportunity for us to hear about the scope of your project, the demographic and the geographic served, perhaps a draft budget and your partners involved. What that support call is it's us giving you the opportunity to tell us what you want to do and for us to say, this doesn't align with the priorities and it's not worth blood, sweat, tears to go through the application that's 2 hours and pulling together all those documents and MOUs if it's not going to be considered. So we want to work with you to make sure your project is considered. And last but not least, we do have the capacity building sessions. We do have another information session after this. So feel free to utilize all of this information that's coming at you in your application. And one last thing, when you are submitting your application, use Wi-Fi as opposed to, use Wi-Fi as opposed to using data so that you're not getting charged any extra data charges if you're taking time to, upload questions or uploading videos, which pulls me into there are other ways to apply with us. And we are open to videos for an oral application as well as a French application.
So this slide is a little bit iterative, but I'm happy to share it. I think it's important that you have the steps. And so you'll go to the UWSM webpage and complete the eligibility quiz. You'll book that support call to review the scope of the project and eligibility. We'll review the application guidelines and continue to engage with us. All applications will be submitted through Salesforce. If you haven't used that, we'll get you familiar with that. And as part of our accessibility commitment, there are going to be alternative ways to interview or to apply, such as oral applications and French applications. Our CIC members will review all applications in November of 2023, and we will be making final funding decisions in November as well. All applicants will be notified of approval or denial in December. We are available, this is important. So we believe our allocations day is going to be November 2nd, and it's important that projects who have applied are available on that day in case the council has any questions or wants to verify any information. I will point out this is actually a new process for us, but I think it's going to be a game changer. It's going to be really helpful for both the CIC members and also for you for clarification. And another piece that I just want to sort of highlight or share is that we value accountability and transparency in all the stages of grant making. So related to that, we intend to give you all of the information that you need, including the priorities, and in turn, feel free to make contact with us at any time with questions or concerns.
Last but not least, this is us, Rebecca Vaughn and Kelsey Nichols. We are here to support you with your application, with the entire process. When you get a support call, we're going to be the ones on the other side of the phone working with you. You can contact us via email. You'll see there is a collaboratives email, which you would have received the email from me for this link. And if you have any questions, again, we have our office hours the second Tuesday of the month. Was that July 8th? And August 10th, I believe, maybe. Oh, July 11th and August 8th, I believe it is. So you'll be able to contact us that way. And really, we are just so incredibly thankful that you've had this opportunity to sit here with us. We are happy to be sitting here with you and go over some of this information. And if you do have any questions, now can be your time. You can throw them in the chat, or you can unmute or take yourself off the microphone, sorry, and join us. I'm going to stop sharing now.